was a fairly horrific dude, so there's no reason why you wouldn't have 18.
Should I just cross it out and say, here.
Uh-huh. So, on the way back up, I see. On the rise again.
Oh no.
Fergal's like, I can do more of that.
You have a whole town.
Well, that's the interesting point.
Yeah. Whole lot of people who's not going to be missed, I guess.
Now, were you supposed to go and talk to Fergal, or were you?
I've already done that.
You've already done that.
Yeah.
And slightly threatened you, maybe.
I didn't care.
Make sure you stick to the story.
Sure, whatever.
That's right.
And I did.
Yeah, it did.
Well, I need to tell you that I'm not sure I can keep up the purely deterministic approach of who's where and when, because things have come to collision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have very much come to collision. And I might sort of like stumble in terms of the time of day and stuff for a little while, which in this game makes me feel like I've come sort of
unglued.
Yeah, you're very glued. It's like, wait, what watch is it? You know? So, but maybe if someone can help bring me back to a proper starting point if we have to, this is what I have in mind. Number one, the constable would, having expected exactly what did happen, which was that Fergal would become a Morvrin because he ordered that to happen. Yeah. He just didn't expect it to happen quite right away. He was expecting it to occur in a couple of weeks when the Morgath priest will show up. And whether the Morgath priest finds anything but a hole in the ground where Waseda was is a good question. Yeah. But that's his problem in the future. Today, he's going to want you to do a thing. And that thing is to kill the monster.
Okay.
Now, we have to kind of decide like when and how this gets communicated to you or playing through some aspect of that. I guess I'm kind of sort of expanding the time so that we can talk about what would have happened in the space of a day or so. And
I think that's rather reasonable. I think the afternoon of this day we're playing right now, where all this happened, it's still a lot of hours there that hasn't been covered with anything.
Right, and I'm actually thinking that I wouldn't mind extending it a little further into.
You could do a time skip.
Yeah, a little further into the next 24 hours, generally speaking, because most of what's going to happen, if we continue to play it in the short term, is kind of just things bumping against one another. And there are one or two important things. One is that the town is not going to remain cohesive. The constable's men will pacify a particular area like this, thinking everything's well, and are going to go back and give the report that everything is well. And right then is when this erupts. And then another batch of men comes running over to pacify that. And by the time they're done, and we work around to several events in town, these guys are mad about something again. So, that's
it's an endless domino chain.
Exactly. And not only that, but the monster will go and nibble on people here and there.
Yeah, because the monster was fighting Orphus. That's when we left off.
Yes, I know.
So we have that too.
Well, Orthus did manage to kind of run. But the monster is very, very, very fast.
Yeah.
And agile. And could whip through the corridors of the castle because flying and squishing against walls. So slurping along the wall and flying or suddenly darting out of the window, going down, and then coming in a window, that all that is very much in its skill set.
Yep.
Particularly because it's very smart.
Mm.
So it's figured out what humans do when they scream and run.
Yeah.
And it will strategize a location quite easily to do that. It's had time, too, to check out the castle, think about during the night, and get an idea of what it's like in there.
Mm.
So I don't think Orthas has much long to live in this world. And we'll sooner or later, the dice will tell, and he will get,
unfortunate.
Yes.
He might be missed.
Yeah.
By us at least. Might.
So I do think that that's going to throw the entire Agric hierarchy into confusion.
Yeah.
Which, whatever else one may say about them, establishing order among the sheeple is very much their talent.
Yeah.
So, like them or not, they at least could have been a force for civic organization. But I think that's going to be badly hampered, badly diminished. So,
maybe.
As I say, everybody here bows their head for a moment for Orthas and Agric and says, "Oh darn," and moves on. Yes.
How sad. Anyway.
Exactly.
Dips on the hat.
Keeping the weapons.
So you have, sadly, a particularly difficult task. You have had contact with the monster.
Yes.
And since you are incredibly well trusted by Petrin,
Somehow.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, somehow. Since you have his trust, he's actually going to deputize you to be the monster killer. And I mentioned that Fergal would be involved with that, but he doesn't really know about the Fergal situation. And so not yet.
No.
And that's going to probably surprise him greatly because it doesn't fit in when he thought that might occur.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned, they've sort of given you something simple and unchallenging to do for 2 weeks.
Mm.
That was the agreement. Just make sure he doesn't get out or anything.
It has to be contained.
Somebody manage that dude. Now, I'm just going to pull out some of my favorite Harnmaster things here. And Philip can criticize my dice choice when necessary. Here we go. Yeah, even in my notes, shifting to half-day time units.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, let's see here. You will recall that the people sent off to go and examine the circumstances further down along the coast have not returned. And we also have the fact that you are almost desperately waiting for Daffy to return.
Mm-hmm.
And I will, however, point out that Oswin is smart enough, I think, to have realized that I don't think we rolled for this.
Maybe not.
Well, let's see if she realizes that the monster has specifically targeted her.
Yeah, we should root for it.
Yeah, so intelligence times 5.
No.
No.
I believe it's 100, right?
The most critical of failures.
That is a very sad outcome.
Complete coincidence.
I am not sure that the critical failure roll applies to the 5 times attribute
No,
rolls.
maybe not. It's fun.
But
Could you
if
critically fail at reasoning? Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it.
well, you
It
can,
could,
yes, but
That
I'm not
just
sure.
happened.
No correlation.
which would be very, very, very tragic because Oswin does not realize that once it's done feasting upon Orthas, that it will be coming for.
Glad that's over with.
How sad.
Boy, I guess just found that window at random.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my god.
I mean, Oswin she doesn't even has a reason because Orphas told her she's up for a really barbecue with her as the sort of main attraction.
That's
So
right. She's
she
focused
might
on
be
that.
she might be worried about different things at this point.
Yeah. Boy, that's a very fateful pair of roles. One that Orthas was present. Remember, that was an encounter roll.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then another that you fail to realize that. That is a very fateful bit of determinism there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Artor. You have a monster. It sleeps under your bed.
Yes.
You have been told to kill it.
Yes.
And you are to gather people to do it, and you are to buck up those pirates who seem very shaky in the knees regarding the monster.
Yeah.
But this is different. This is groups of people. This is your turf. You know what it is.
Yeah.
You have a better idea.
Yeah.
More
but,
than one.
But anyone else realizes even.
Right, correct. And also other people have caught enough glimpses of it now around these last events that it is no longer quite as shocking a concept. I mean, at least bad as it is, they've realized it's one thing of this size and is not kind of this amorphous terror in their mind that could have any properties at all.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a little more they're a little bit easier to organize. And I will say that a group of people being attacked on a ship by pure stealth, completely at the thing's mercy, is very different from an active community with lots of buildings and unpredictable spaces and stuff like that. Even its psionic prescience is hard put to take care of it 24 hours into the future like it's used to doing. It's used to doing that in very stable environments or relatively stable environments. This is not a stable environment. So therefore, it's having a harder time keeping itself from being seen, a harder time from isolating prey. It was kind of hoping for easy pickings with a competent human minder, but that has proven to be very difficult. Yes, there was a point when I was role-playing it and interacting with Fergal with a great deal of frustration. What are you doing? So, okay.
I made everything better.
And that's why it's sleeping under his bed. So let's move then. Let's let the players be a little more proactive then about their half-day units of concerns. And let me check my own timeline regarding the critical movements of some of our non-player characters. Right, he will be bumped. Do you need a pencil? You have everything, right? Okay. He is bumped actually to here. And my description for various non-player characters is what environments they were in: highway, rural, urban, whatever. This is David's trip to Henwe. It's been revised. That's safe down there. That's not safe anymore.
Cool.
This is no longer safe.
No. Yeah, that makes sense.
So the next night and day are going to be occupied with the mutilation of Orthas discovering him.
Yeah.
And probably a sort of come to Morgoth moment of people saying, we have a new situation. We have, a being of Morgoth. This is a holy moment.
Yes.
And we are to kind of try to figure out what to do. It might take a little bit for them to sort themselves out as to who's in charge of what. Even undead, terrifying Fergal is
Still Fergal.
is the certain amount of common sense will dominate about whether we should just do what he says. So, and there was the woman, right?
That's me.
Yeah, who has taken it upon herself to know what's best, and to organize it, and she's kind of good at it.
Yeah.
So that means that you're, the rearrangement of physical space and the delegating different jobs to different people. She's doing a pretty good job, probably. So that you see the results of that. Somebody does a thing for you, or somebody does a certain ritual, or somebody organizes, in some way. I believe I had talked about the constable he's had enough of the Liekver. And so the last 24 hours and coming into this next 24 hours is going to see thoroughly brutal demonstrations of important people in the kind of underground markets and stuff, many of whom had thought of themselves as kind of loyal to him and backstopping his economy. But he's making it very clear that anybody who was a bit independent they're being like publicly drowned.
Okay.
They're being publicly speared and in spear points held underwater until they drown. So stuff like that. He's being very explicit that there is an underground, there is a criminal, body, there is a shadow economy, but it's mine. So
I was about to say, convenient that he knew all the people and you could find them conveniently.
That was exactly correct. He was like, this guy, they died. That guy, come kiss my ass. That's how it's going to work, right? So, let's go ahead. I think I've kind of brought you up to where you're at. We could almost basically begin with your assignment and your.
If a day has passed, I would like a healing roll, or healing rolls actually, and it's 95 because I'm to have too high of an endurance. It's 35. That's a critical.
In which case you go up
down 2.
Oh, right. You lose 2 injury points.
And so remember that for the abdomen, so that goes down to 5. I can actually adjust immediately.
Well, that's kind of nice.
So -2. 18. This is -1 for the thorax. And then for my PS5, it is 7.
So 1 more down.
Yes, and that's a total of 4 down, which means this goes down to 15. Yay, I'm more healed.
Yes. And I also am thinking that in Harnmaster, perhaps the thing to do is to have an encounter with a few goblins or orcs or something. And then we have maybe, 6 months of just working on the farm and, doing your patrols or working on your accounts and stuff. And, it seems a certain measured approach.
Don't get hurt,